A massive accident there with Nico Hülkenberg. As he goes to the right, Verstappen goes to the left. Lunged up the inside now of Magnussen and Wehrlein. Hello there guys and welcome, it is Niran here, and today it is time for me to welcome you back to episode number 3 of our F1 2016 career mode here with Renault, and you guys have been enjoying this series a lot, I feel, throughout its first 2 episodes. Like 10,000 views on the first episode and over 100 likes as well on the second episode. I wasn't actually expecting that when I said it, so if we could smash 100 likes on this episode, that would be mega as well. But we're here in China, although the first clip you see in the background comes from the end of the Bahrain Grand Prix, where we set another R&D development upgrade in the sort of running, or sort of going. And that was a chassis weight upgrade, and that was actually ready for China, would you believe? So a really quick turnover time from the boys back at HQ, and we've got reduced chassis weights for the Chinese Grand Prix. So a pretty major upgrade, but still not quite above Haas and Force India, who stand above us when it comes to the vehicle comparison. But as I said, we're here in China for round number 3 of this season. We've got 2 big upgrades on the car now already, and we're just getting some track acclimatization done in FP1. Unfortunately, our running was a little bit scattered throughout the free practice sessions this time, actually, because of quite a bit of rain throughout the practice sessions. We wanted to do the qualifying pace right at the end of FP1, but it started raining. As you can see, it's overcast here at the start of FP1, and that really harmed us, unfortunately. You can see that we've hit the first target score, so that's 30 resource points in the bank already when it comes to track acclimatization, having a pretty good first corner there as well, getting all purple as well, as we try and get the purple time, or the purple score, sorry, that we can get 50 resource points. And as you can see, we have completed that objective. We also got a few team objectives done, so we got 50 resource points there for track acclimatization. Now, I tried the tyre wear one, but I saw Arav, he did a Chinese Grand Prix, obviously, and he said he really struggled. And I think the Chinese Grand Prix, it seems to be very difficult to actually get the tyre wear done. We did manage to also get 30 resource points as well for qualifying pace, unfortunately missing out on 50 resource points by just 7/100ths of a second as it started raining again at the end of that. So, yeah, we've got 80 resource points straight off the bat there. We also got some team objectives. You can see there in the background our rivalry as well with teammate Kevin Magnussen. We're on a 9 out of 10 in terms of driver position. So after practice and after the upgrades, let's move into the qualifying report. The first quali session of the day saw Nico Rosberg fastest from Max Verstappen and Daniel Kvyat in a promising 3rd for Toro Rosso. Valtteri Bottas just scraped through in 16th, while Sergio Perez was eliminated in 18th. Q2 was led by Kimi Raikkonen on super softs, as both Mercedes set times on the yellow-walled soft tyres. Both Jenson Button and Niran Yusufu made it into Q3, meaning 3 Brits in the shootout, whilst Felipe Massa will have to settle for P12.
My first lap on the tyres, I had a little mistake. In corner 12, I had to back off. I lost a lot of time on the back straight, so it would have been enough to pass. A bit frustrating because of that.
But in Q3, it will be Nico Rosberg once again fastest from compatriot Sebastian Vettel. Yusufu took P10 for his best qualifying result since making it into Formula 1. So Nico Rosberg will start the Chinese Grand Prix on pole from Sebastian Vettel, Lewis Hamilton in a disappointing P3, and Max Verstappen in 4th position. Then it's Kimi Raikkonen, Daniel Ricciardo, Carlos Sainz in an impressive P7 from Valtteri Bottas in 8th, and it's Jenson Button and Niran Yusufu in an all-British row 5, with Daniel Kvyat and Felipe Massa in P11 and P12. So a much, much better qualifying here than in China, 10th on the grid, making it all the way into Q3 in our Renault, which is still the 3rd worst car on the grid. However, we are making big gains on Haas and Force India, who haven't developed at all yet this season, so we're closing in on them. Hopefully we'll actually overtake them by Catalonia at this race. So we're working our way into the midfield scrap, and 10th on the grid is pretty decent. Unfortunately, Kevin Magnussen a long way down the order still, but our best qualifying of our career so far. You can see there in the background Vettel, the man there just on the screen, he's leading the championship from Hamilton And Sergio Perez in the Force India is third in the championship going into this one. What a start to the season it's been for him. Not a great start for the man you saw on the screen a moment ago there, Nico Rosberg, who's had a pretty diabolical start to the season. He needs a win today. If he doesn't score points again, he's really already almost out of the title race after just 3 races. But we're now lining up on the grid, starting on the super soft red wool tyres like Jenson Button is there to our left-hand side. But these were wearing a lot in the tyre wear tests in practice. Like a lot. They were lasting like 3 or 4 laps, so it might actually be a disadvantage starting on these tyres. I think it might be an advantage to start on the softs or the mediums, but we use these tyres to get into Q3, so we have to start on the super softs that are already worn by 1 lap. But the formation lap is over. The lights are starting to illuminate here in China for the Chinese Grand Prix, and we are underway for round number 3 of the 2016 Formula 1 season. It's a fantastic start in comparison to Jenson Button, not so much in comparison to Felipe Massa as we go into turn 1. There's a spin there for Raikkonen in the Ferrari. We've got 2 illegal overtakes for some reason, so we've got to allow Carlos Sainz back through, but he's just simply not going through. He's taking his time to take that position back. We've now slotted in to 8th position, so we've gained 2 places there off the start line in front of Jenson Button, because he got a absolutely cataclysmic start in the McLaren from 9th on the grid, and then gaining another place on Kimi Raikkonen after his spin. There was a Red Bull as well, the half spun. I think that was Max Verstappen, the Dutchman there, very almost dropping it as well. But Kimi Raikkonen dropping all the way to the back of the grid then, all the way to the back of the field after turn 1. Disastrous start for him. Good start though for us, we've capitalised on that, but again, as I mentioned, we're on the softer tyres, and it's not, I don't really think they're a very good race tyre. You can see a replay here in the background. That is Kimi Raikkonen having his spin, so not the greatest start for him. He did manage to recover pretty well and just slot in right at the back there behind that Manor, but he's lost all sorts of track position. Moving on to lap 2, we've got Carlos Sainz right in front of us. In front of that is Bottas and the 2 Red Bulls. Carlos Sainz here in a Toro Rosso. Toro Rosso making gains, actually. They're one of the main teams to have developed so far this season. I think they've got more incoming at Sochi as well, so definitely watch out for them. But at the moment, we seem to have pretty decent pace in comparison to the Spaniards. Small lock-up there down into that hairpin. Later on to lap 2, and we're still pretty much within striking distance of Carlos Sainz, and without the use of DRS, just a slipstream, we're going to go up the inside here of Carlos Sainz, down into the hairpin, changing our strategy as we do so. Into the hairpin, we brake later, but we do lock up both of the front tyres. We just about get it stopped there in front of the Spaniard in the Toro Rosso, and that is 7th place. And what a start to this Grand Prix it has been. 3 places gained, a great qualifying session. It's now getting even better, but a poor exit down on the final corner. Big snap of oversteer, and Carlos Sainz is coming back at us. We squeeze him towards the wall, but he's going to go up the inside into turn 1. The long sweeping right-hander that is turn 1 here in China, just about alongside Sainz. He's trying to squeeze us out. Now towards turn 2, we have the inside line, a small lock-up there on the inside front, but we just about hold on to the position. Fantastic racing between myself there and Carlos Sainz. Really nice of him to actually give us a little bit of room. Hard but fair racing there from him on lap 3. You can see a little bit of a replay of it now from the cinematic cameras, and it is great racing between myself and Sainz. Massa and Daniel Kvyat there waiting in the wings, followed by a Force India. I think that is Sergio Perez. Coming towards the end of lap 3 though, and look at the tyre wear. 65% tyre wear. We probably could have just about sneaked another lap, but we do come in here as well, just about slowing down as well for the pit limiter. But a Williams coming in front of us, Sainz is coming behind, so all the guys who started on the super softs having to pit after just 3 laps. And this is going to be a massive disadvantage to us. I think we're all now, all of the people who started on the super softs are going to have to do an extra pit stop. Verstappen didn't start on the super softs. Both of the Mercedes started on the softs, so the ones that we're on now, and Sebastian Vettel also did as well, so they're not going to have to pit for a while. We've got Kevin Magnussen though on the super softs, and after 4 laps he's got a puncture, so that just shows how much these tyres are wearing around this track. I don't know what is going on, but the abrasive nature clearly of this track is absolutely chewing through tyres. Even people on the soft tyres are only lasting sort of 8 laps. But we're now on the softs. Bottas has stuck another set of super softs on, basically suicidally putting another, I don't know if that's a word, but suicidal realistically from the Finn in the Williams to put another set of those super soft tyres on. If you're putting those tyres on, you're basically just gifting the people around you a pit stop. Because at the end of the day, you're going to lose what? You're going to lose 20 seconds in the pit lane plus. And how much are you going to gain from 3 laps on those tyres? You're not going to gain those 20 seconds back from the 3 laps that they actually have decent life in them. We've gone past Valtteri Bottas. His tyres are probably already starting to go off. And we're only on lap 6 because he's now done 3 laps on those super softs. Again, in his second stint. It's just an absolutely pointless exercise putting them on. And that's why I really wish we hadn't been almost in the top 10, because it meant that we had to start on those super softs. We've gone past Pascal Wehrlein now, who's on very much aging soft tyres there in the manor. Obviously, we're on the middle ranking tyre now as well, obviously the yellow walled soft tyres. We're going to put a set of mediums on after that. We're now breezing past Felipe Nasr. Much like Wehrlein, he's on very old soft tyres, so we breezed past him pretty easily. Daniel Ricciardo, another man who's put another set of super softs on. Again, probably the worst thing he possibly could have done, but he's gone with that in the Red Bull. On to lap 8, and we've got a battle going on. Ricciardo's trying to sift his way through the back markers. We've got Ericsson and Gutierrez in front of us. Ericsson has hit Gutierrez and spun him round, and Gutierrez has spun into us. And once again, we have had a collision with Esteban Gutierrez. We try and reverse back onto the track. We couldn't go forward because there was a barrier and gravel there, and we were trying to reverse, but the AI weren't moving, and Bottas hit us, but no damage done to either car. On to lap 8. Bottas now peels into the pit lane because his super softs have given up on him. But here then is a replay of the incident. I think we tapped Ericsson ever so slightly, but I think he was already going to hit Gutierrez. It spins Gutierrez round, and he spins into us. Gutierrez loses a bit of his front wing as well, actually, an end fence of his front wing, but a disastrous incident there, and one that's really cost us. You can see on board from Ericsson, very cool camera angle there actually to see that accident unfold. But once again, getting involved in incidents, and to be honest, that wasn't really our fault. That really wasn't our fault. On to lap 9, these soft tyres are already starting to give up on us, and onto the back straight, they've given up on us completely. We've got a puncture, and after the super softs lasted literally 3 laps, the soft tyres have now lasted 5 and have punctured. This is absolutely extraordinary. I don't know whether there's some sort of glitch going on, whether the tyre wear scaling is out, but for some reason we are struggling with massive tyre wear, and we've been piled into by Daniel Ricciardo at the end of the straight. I don't know why he didn't just drive around us. I realised we were on the racing line, but the people in front of us just drove around us, whereas Ricciardo decided to just hit us. Through goes a manor, but this is really going to hinder our race. I think already we were at a massive disadvantage with the strategy. Now I think we can kiss goodbye at a chance of points. I think we're going to be finishing outside of the points for the first time in our F1 career as we slow down to the 50-mile-an-hour pit limit. And onto lap 10, we have got a puncture on these soft tyres, which have lasted a ridiculously low amount of time. Ricciardo's changing his front wing, we're changing our tyres, we're going onto the mediums. But realistically, everyone else, the people who started on softs or the people who started on mediums, are going to be doing two-stoppers. We can't physically do a two-stopper now. We're already on, we're already on a two-stopper now. I can't see us getting these tyres to the end of the race. We're going to have to do at least a three-stopper. For some reason, the tyre wear in this race is absolutely cataclysmic. We're looking at Nico Rosberg, who's currently leading the race. He needs to win if he's going to close down the gap at the front of the championship, but he's not going to. His engine, his Mercedes power unit has given up from underneath him, and Nico Rosberg onto lap 14 is out of this Grand Prix. We're approaching the yellow flag zone where Nico Rosberg retired from the race, and we're in 20th place, and in all honesty, that looks like a net 20th place. We've got Rosberg there now behind us. Obviously, we're now promoted to 19th after the German's retirement. But we've got Daniel Ricciardo behind us, who's having an equally horrendous race. Carlos Sainz is in front of us. All the people who started on the super soft. So me, Daniel Ricciardo, Carlos Sainz, Valtteri Bottas. That one strategy call of just lapping, doing our best lap time on the super softs in Q2 has completely wrecked our races, because these super softs don't last long enough to get any sort of good lap times out of them for a consistent amount of time. So we're just gifting our rivals 20 seconds. Out of the pit lane has come Marcus Ericsson on some very cold mediums, but we very much lose the back end there, almost crashing into Marcus Ericsson. That would have just topped off what seems to be so far after the halfway mark a pretty dismal race. These mediums are already worn. We don't have any more mediums for the race, so we're going to have to put a set of softs on. And given that they punctured after 5 laps, I think we may end up having to do a 4-stopper here somehow. The tyre wear scaling has to be wrong. Something's going on. There must be some sort of glitch going on. We're not chewing through our tyre. We're actually conserving tyres. Jenson Button is out of the race there to the side of the track as well. So the McLaren of Jenson Button is out after a fantastic first 2 races for McLaren. It's not looking good for them today. Button out of the race. But we're looking after these tyres pretty well. And you can see coming into the pit lane on lap 18, these mediums are done as well. They have been chewed through. They were meant to go to lap 23. My pit crew told me that they would go to lap 23. They've only managed to go to lap 19 without me having any sort of pace at all. We were completely conserving the tyres. You could see Marcus Ericsson practically driving away from me in front in the Sauber. That's how slow we were going in order to conserve these tyres. And still, they didn't. They went 5 laps less than they were projected to. On to lap 22, this set of softs actually seem to be holding up a lot better than the first set. We've actually managed to catch Pascal Wehrlein, and we've only got 37% tyre wear. Around the outside we go. I mean, points are out of the question at this stage because no one else has to pit. At this point in the race, no one else has to pit. We've made 2 extra pit stops now, I think, than most people in the race. Pascal Wehrlein, we've made two extra stops more than, as we drop it almost again there with traction, which has been another key problem for us in this race. On to lap 24, the tyres are starting to go off a little bit more, but we've been lapped for the first time in this series. We probably expected it to happen pretty swiftly, realistically, given we're in the 3rd worst car on the grid. Lewis Hamilton in the lead of the race, he goes through, and we've been lapped. We're on a 3-stopper at the moment, but I don't think these tyres will go far enough either. Yellow flags are out though on to lap 25, and Rio Haryanto is out, so his Mercedes power unit has given up on him as well. Massive plume of smoke in the exact same spot as Nico Rosberg retired. So maybe that Mercedes power unit isn't as bulletproof as it seems to be. Maybe they need to make some advances really on that power unit in future. Maybe making some developments in terms of upgrades for future races. On to lap 26. This is our penultimate lap of the race because we've been lapped. And Daniel Ricciardo, and I thought I was having a bad race in terms of expectations, Daniel Ricciardo goes past us, but only for P16, only very much for pride. Pascal Wehrlein is behind us, Kevin Magnussen is behind us, he obviously got a puncture, and we're having to pit because the tyres are on 83% wear. The softs earlier punctured on 75% wear, so I can't risk it. If we puncture, if the tyres puncture on this lap, we're going to finish last, and we're going to finish behind Magnussen, and then we're going to fail our objectives. So the reality is we're pitting on the final lap of the race for a set of super softs, and an absolute dog day afternoon is confirmed by this 4th pit stop onto the Red Wall super soft tyres for basically no apparent reason. Wehrlein's gone through. I mean, well, there is a reason behind it because we don't want to puncture again. We don't want to get tyres puncturing again on the final lap of the race, and we don't want to come last. We don't want to lose out to Magnussen. At the end of the day, P17, P18, it doesn't really matter. The difference between P18 and P19 is slightly more important because we're obviously racing Kevin Magnussen, our rival, in the championship. But after a race, a qualifying session that offered us so much hope, so much promise going into the race, it has been dashed realistically. Not enough pace throughout the race, and certainly not enough tyre conservation. This car seems to chew through its tyres so much. Kevin Magnussen, obviously we weren't the only Renault to get a puncture today. Kevin Magnussen got a puncture right at the start of the race after just 4 laps on those super softs. So this car clearly is far too harsh on its tyres. We're going to have to develop the car and try and prevent that from happening in future. Tracks like Spain and Hungary could be a massive issue if we're getting punctures around China, but we'll have to see how it goes. Magnussen, of course, also got a puncture in Australia, so this car just regrettably is not too kind on its tyres. It's P18 for us, and a massive come back down to earth after 2-point scoring finishes in both Australia and in Bahrain. We've had a pretty good start to the season though, realistically. If you'd have offered me points in 2 of the first 3 races of the season, I would have more than happily taken it. We've got 3 teams as well on the podium. Lewis Hamilton has won. It's his first and Mercedes' first win of the season. Sebastian Vettel is second and Max Verstappen is third. Shout out to Daniel Kvyat as well. Wonderful P4 for him in the Toro Rosso with Felipe Massa, Fernando Alonso, Romain Grosjean, Sergio Perez, Valtteri Bottas and Esteban Gutierrez rounding out the top 10. I do believe Valtteri Bottas was the only person to start on Supersofts and finish in the points, so that basically confirms just how bad a strategy call that was, although we were forced into it. Obviously we had to start on the tyres that we set our best lap time, on in Q2, and that happened to be the super softs, and I will remember that for next year, I think, to make sure that I start on the softs or the mediums. So a pretty poor day for us. Sebastian Vettel, though, holds on to his lead in the championship by 7 points now over Lewis Hamilton. A massive gap, though, back to third. That's Alonso, then Perez, Kvyat, then great starts to the season for them. Then Verstappen, Raikkonen, Button, Ricciardo, Massa rounding out the top 10 in the championship. Then Bottas, Nico Rosberg way down in 12th. We have slipped to 14th, though, after that race. Max Verstappen and Romain Grosjean getting their first points of the season, so we dropped from 12th to 14th. We've also dropped in the Constructors' Championship as well, because Haas, Romain Grosjean, that 7th place for him, getting him a decent haul of points. And they've now gone above us. 1 point for Gutierrez, 6 points for Grosjean means they're on 7 and above us. Ferrari, though, still leading the Constructors' Championship from Mercedes, McLaren, and then Red Bull, who have jumped Force India into 4th. So not a very positive race weekend, unfortunately. In fact, a very disappointing, a very dismal one, realistically, for ourselves. We did, though, somehow still manage to beat Kevin Magnussen, who, for Renault, I mean, it's possibly the worst weekend Renault have ever had in Formula 1. 18th and 19th in the race, but that outperformance of Magnussen somehow in this race weekend means that we've officially won that rivalry against him. So we'll have a new rival for next weekend. You'll see that the Sochi Grand Prix in a few days, where we'll have that new rival, and we'll be hoping to have a much better race than we did here in China. Still, the team's still pretty happy with our performance, though, across the season. Still 10 out of 10 on the driver position when it comes to Renault's opinion of us, and you can see our career score in the background. But that is about it from me. A very disappointing third race of this F1 2016 career mode season. If you did enjoy, though, feel free to hit the likes button, subscribe if you're new around here as well, and comment about enjoying the video if you enjoyed it that much. Hopefully that big update that we put on the car there for that Chinese Grand Prix comes into fruition in Sochi. But it's been a pleasure ranting at you guys today. Have a great day, enjoy yourselves, and goodbye.